Aloha! My name is Michael Roberts, and I am a professor in the Department of Economics, University of Hawaii Economic Research Organization, and seagrant at the University of Hawaii at Manoa. The University of Hawaii Seagrant College Program, otherwise known as Hawaii Seagrant, is based at the University of Hawaii at Manoa. Hawaii Seagrant supports an innovative program of research, education, and extension services directed to the improved understanding and stewardship of coastal and marine resources of the state, region, and nation. Hawaii Seagrant Podcast Number 7, Hawaiian Water.
Aloha and welcome to our 321 podcast. My name is Mahea.
This is Cindy.
This is Michael.
And I'm Nate.
And we are part of Hawaii Seagrant and the University of Hawaii located in Honolulu, Hawaii.
This podcast features research supported by Hawaii Seagrant. Each episode will highlight a new project and the people that make that project possible.
We will ask these researchers for 3 words that describe their research, give them 2 minutes to explain how their research benefits communities here in Hawaii, and end by asking them to provide one thing they know about each other than their research. So 3 words, 2 minutes, and 1 thing. It's a 321 podcast.
Hey, Mahea.
Yes, Cindy?
How many glasses of water do you drink a day?
Okay, so I'm all about hydration. So I drink at least 3 liters of water a day.
Whoa, that's great.
How about you guys?
I can't say I've measured it that precisely, but I drink quite a bit.
Water, right?
Water.
Water. Okay.
Drink water.
Okay.
I drink all kinds of water. I couldn't tell you how much, but
Yeah.
I have too many trips to the bathroom.
I must say, we have amazing drinking water here in Hawaii.
Yes, we are very fortunate.
I agree. Unfortunately, people tend to forget that fresh water is an important natural resource.
Yeah, it's something that's often taken for granted.
You study water, right?
Yep, we're water whisperers.
So what are 3 words that describe your research?
We're economists, so I would say supply, demand, and price.
Economist, huh? So why would you say those 3 words?
Well, economics is about much more than money. In fact, money is a pretty small part of economics. What it's really about is human behavior and how we use resources. And our simplest model for thinking about how people and societies use resources is a model of supply and demand, which actually determines the prices of goods. At least in an idealized market, which we all realize doesn't ever really exist. But at least it's our starting place for thinking about how resources are allocated.
We are learning about water in this podcast, specifically water demand in Hawaii. Here to share their research are Dr. Michael Roberts and his graduate student, Nate DeMaagd.
Before we ask you how your research benefits communities here in Hawaii, let's talk about a few scientific words. So 3 words that you use a lot in your research are climate change, evapotranspiration, and water demand. Can you explain what these words mean?
Well, climate is weather over the long term. So day-to-day weather, you might see how hot it is or whether it's going to rain or not. But climate is the overarching weather that prevails over a long period of time. And climate change, then, is changes in these long-term weather patterns. Evapotranspiration, we all know that plants use water. They suck up the water, and it is transported throughout the plant, and some of it ends up in the leaves. There's tiny little holes in the leaves, and some of the water escapes out of these leaves and evaporates into the atmosphere, much like water would evaporate out of a glass over a period of time. And finally, water demand is how consumers use water and how things like prices, consumer behaviors and preferences, and weather affect how much water they use.
So tell us in 2 minutes or less how your research benefits the communities here in Hawaii.
There's a lot of work going on here to understand what might be happening with climate change and how it's affecting recharge of our aquifers. So that would be the supply side. And a lot of scientists are working really hard on that. But it's also true that the climate or the weather really affects how much water we use as well. So, in a nutshell, what we're trying to do to help Hawaii is plan for its warmer future by estimating how much water demand will grow as a result of climate change.
So let's recap. When asked to provide 3 words that describe your research, you said supply, demand, and price. You provided definitions for 3 scientific words that are commonly used in your research. These words were climate change, evapotranspiration, and water demand. We've learned about your research and how your research will help communities here in Hawaii. So let's get technical. How do you do your research?
So when we first got this project, we collected data from Board of Water Supply. They gave us monthly billing data for all of the buildings on Oahu. And we combined that with weather data that we got from the geography department and other various weather stations throughout the island. And we kind of found this relationship between water use and weather. So if it's hot or cold, or if it rains a lot, or if it's dry, how does that affect water consumption? So we developed these statistical models where we ran regressions, and we found precise estimates of these relationships. And
so regression analysis is looking for a relationship.
Right. So we're looking at the relationship between water use and weather, and we're controlling for all of these other variables, like when houses were built, what's the square footage, how big are the yards, and all these different things. And we can find out, hopefully, really good estimates of how these things all interact.
We also are looking at things like prices. Some households are on the sewer system, and some actually have septic systems or cesspools. And they actually pay much, much less on their water bill because your sewer bill is combined with your water bill. And it's connected to how much water you use.
Yes, I pay that every month.
Yes.
Yes.
So if you're on septic or sewer, sometimes you do have costs associated with those systems as well. You have to have them cleaned out or whatnot. But we do see that if we find very similar houses with similar lot sizes and very similar characteristics in all respects, except one's on the sewer system and one's not, we find that people who are not on the sewer system use more water. And that might be attributed to the fact that they're paying a considerably lower price. So this helps us understand a little bit about the value of this water to households.
Well, that's a wrap. But before we go, we want to ask you, Michael, what's one thing you know about Nate other than his research?
Nate is a pilot.
Oh,
And he's going to take
You're a fly guy?
I'm a novice fly guy. Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So you fly planes or helicopters?
I just fly little single-engine planes.
So we could go flying.
Join me anytime, if you trust me enough.
And Nate, what is one thing you know about Michael other than his research?
Michael is a traveler, at least recently.
Wanderlust.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just got back from Greece. I'm a little jet lagged right now. It was a lot of fun. It was worth it.
Cool. Well, stay tuned for our next podcast, and mahalo for listening. Aloha.
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 This Hawai'i seagrant 321 podcast featured 3 songs. Happiness by bensound.com, Ukulele by bensound.com, and Cute by bensound.com. Find it on iTunes and bensound.com.